Hello, everyone. So we're going to look today at the changes that were made to the TOEFL exam. So just basically, you still have the same fundamental core skills. So you have reading, speaking, listening, and writing. So those remain. Okay. So we're going to look a little bit here at the just the test here to see how it has evolved and or changed. So we have here, for example, okay, in the actual test, the clock will show you how much time you have to complete module one. Okay, you can use next and back to move to the next question or return to previous questions within the same module. In an actual test, you will not be able to return to module one and begin module two. So this is important, yes? So now we're looking at the reading section. You have basically two parts. Yes, module one and module two. So this is important. So basically, you have to finish one and then move on to two chronologically. Okay. So we have here the first part is the fill in the missing letters in the paragraph. Okay, so basically, you have to read what's happening here in the paragraph. So let's look at this. Now we know from drawings that have been preserved in caves for over 10,000 years that early humans performed dances as a group activity. We blank think blank prehistoric, right, concentrated on. So you have to read. No, it's very important to look at context, and I recommend kind of reading it over once, and then to get a sense of what's happening here, and then you move on to trying to answer it. Okay. Then we move on to a notice. Read a notice. Okay, so here we have municipal charters. Sign up for paperless billing statements today. So safe, convenient, easy. Enroll in paperless billing to receive monthly savings account statements in an electronic PDF document. Access your municipal charter account through the mobile app and select account preferences in the upper right-hand corner to enroll. And then you have a series of questions based on the notice. Okay. So what type of business issued the notice, right? So you have A, B, C, D. Okay, we're not going to go over the questions. I want to give you an overview of it. No, if you're doing it and you feel like you want to answer the questions, go ahead. No, how can customers enroll in paperless billing? Okay, so we see. No, so first we have like a fill in the blank, then we have an enroll, a notice type question. Okay, then we have read a social media post. Okay, so here usually you see like a cell phone. Okay, we have Sophia Baker. Every Saturday, our local farmers market is the place to be, right? Da 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 da. And then you have to read it, and then you have a series of questions. What is the main purpose of the post? So you have these kind of factual questions. I will add here, no, that you can use old TOEFL tests, although it's different because it's kind of a longer essay that you have to read about a topic, but nonetheless, it still improves your reading comprehension. So when you're doing this, it'll seem easier, no? Obviously, better to just if you can get your hands on the exact question types. For example, this type of question, no, a media post, sure, why not? But all tests will can also help, right? What reason is given for the popularity of the Thompson's family stall, right? Then you have some questions. Okay, so just so you know, usually you have maybe 3 to 4 questions based on the social media post. And then you move on to kind of, although it's a little bit easier, what we would have seen in the conventional TOEFL test. Okay, so here you have to read, for example, the mirror test, right? Usually they're around 3 to 4 paragraphs, and you have to answer questions. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then that's it. That's module one. Okay, and then you move on to module two. Okay, so obviously during the exam, you will have a clock on the on the test when you're doing it, right? Okay. So yes, just remember. Very good. And it's very similar. No, fill in the blanks again. Okay, here we have an story. You have to read for context, and then you answer the questions. So basically, you read and you just write in the answers on the computer. And then we have here a read an email question. Okay, so here we have a standard email to, from, date, subject, right? Then you have the contents of the email, and then you have questions about it, right? So there we go. Okay, and then we have another one, read an email. Okay, and that's basically the same structure, right? Then you have the paradox of choice, right? As you can see here, no, say class or people on YouTube watching, curating. Also, sometimes you have words that are bolded, and here you would have a vocabulary type question, no? So you read and then you go along. We're not going to go through strategies here. Just I want you to get a sense of what the test looks like, right? Okay. And that's the reading part. Okay. And then you have the answers. Okay. Obviously, you'll be given the answers on the test after you do it. You could check that. Okay. And then you move on to the listening section. So, the listening section, you will have up to 47 questions to demonstrate how well you understand spoken English. There are three types of tasks. Okay. So, here on the listening test, you will have listening section of the TOEFL test. You will have three tasks. Okay, listen and choose a response. Select the best response to the question or statement. Listen to a conversation. Answer questions about short conversations. Listen to announcements and academic talks. Answer questions about announcements and academic talks. Okay. And then we move along here. Okay, so then we have the first module. Okay, so choose the best response. Okay, so then you have women. Didn't I just see you in the library an hour ago? And you have to provide the best response here. As a matter of fact, I was returning a book. Yes, you can find it in the reference section, right? So you have to see what correlates, right? What makes sense here, right? And you have to choose what's the most suitable response, right? There we go. Then we have man. Where is the nearest bus stop? Okay. Um, there you go. No, I nearly missed the bus every 30 minutes. Okay. I can help you find it. I'll take the subway instead. Yes. Okay. So you have to choose the most suitable answer. I'm not going to tell you. You can work on it. Um, I have other videos where I go over strategies on questions. Just for now, I don't want to waste too much time. I just want you to look at it to get a general sense of how the exam looks like. Okay, then we have another question. How do I contact customer service? Then you have to answer. So it's usually woman, man, woman, man, woman, man. Okay. And then we have listen to a conversation. So you have to read the conversation. Okay, so women need anything from the supermarket. Huh? Aren't we getting ready to go see the play in 5 minutes? That's tomorrow. Wow, I'd forget my head if it wasn't screwed on. So yes, you have some kind of expressions and idioms. It's more like an everyday kind of conversation, no? Guess I don't need to change my clothes after all. Okay, so you weren't planning to prepare dinner? No, but I can. What do you want? Woman, just something light and healthy. So can you go shopping instead, right? The man, yeah, sure. How about salmon and salad? What, want anything else? No, that's good, thanks, right? So what does the woman imply that she was about to do? Uh-huh. So you have to imply. What's implied? Remember, implied questions aren't necessarily stated. You have to infer. Okay. Um, why does the man say, I'd forget my head if it wasn't screwed on? So you have kind of these um, questions where you have idioms or expressions. and you have to understand. Okay, I'm just kind of going fast, but I want you to get a sense, right? So here we have another conversation. Okay, similar that but you have two of them, and you have a series two, sometimes three questions. Listen to announce. Now we go on to the next one. Listen to an announcement in a classroom. Okay, so the man, good afternoon, everyone. I am excited to inform you that Dr. Cynthia Palmer, a renowned expert in environmental science, will be giving a guest lecture next Monday at 2 p.m. in Waldman Auditorium. Dr. Palmer will address the latest advancements in sustainable energy solutions and their impact on global climate change. Okay, due to her popularity and the high interest in her work, I highly recommend arriving early to secure a seat. There we go. They're shorter, no, very short. Then you have questions. What is the announcement about? Is it a lecture? Okay, requirements for a class, right? Why does the professor mention Dr. Palmer's popularity? Okay, and there we go. And then we have to listen to a talk on a podcast about psychology. So you'll hear listening. It's usually a podcast, but not necessarily. Okay, it's usually not that long. Obviously, you won't see the writing, right? This is just a transcript, and then you go ahead, you answer the questions. Okay, then you have listening module two, very similar, yeah. So I'll just kind of there we go. Listen to a conversation. Okay. Listen to announcement in a student lounge. Remember, this is all you're listening. You're not going to see it, just so you know, right? I'm reading it to you, but obviously on the exam, you will listen to it. And once again, I do provide examples for these types of questions. So be more than welcome to listen to them. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so here we have now the listen to a talk in an environmental science class. So this is something that has kind of remained from the old TOEFL exam. So you have like a professor talking about a particular topic, and you have to answer questions. Okay, although the lecture is a little bit shorter. Okay, so the TOEFL exam is like 90% different, uh, different if not more. Okay, there we go. So those are the answers. So you're halfway done, right? Okay. Well, I want to stop now for a second. I want you to uh, know that I have an app. It's called the English Pro app. You can find the link to my app in the description section here in the chat section. Also, it's in my bio also. So it's an app that I have created, which provides a lot of help for TOEFL, IELTS, Business English, and into upper intermediate and advanced learners, right? For professionals and students. So you can always, it's basically you have to register for it, for the app, and you get many exercises. We have a freemium part, and we also have a paid part too. But I kind of recommend that you go through, see if you like it before you make the purchase, right? So that's basically an app that you can use, which is very good. I've created it on by myself. Okay, so we move on to the writing section now. In the writing section, you will answer up to 12 questions to demonstrate how well you can write in English. There are three types of tasks. Okay, so you have build a sentence, you have write an email, and write for an academic discussion. Okay, so let's look kind of at these questions. So here we go. Move the words in the boxes to create grammatical sentences. Okay, so a clock will show you how much time you have to complete this task. So it's basically like a word scramble. Okay, it's basically a word scramble, and you have to put these words in order so that it makes sense, right? It makes logical sense. Okay, probably you have seen in other English books if you're studying English or if you have studied English. Sometimes in your examples, you've probably seen in scramble questions where you have the first one of the first words will have a capital, so you know where to start. In this case, it starts with the in this question number one, so you don't do it for that one. But for the second one, you can see here, right? So sometimes here, I'm talking about where it says were, the, was, old city. The first word sometimes in Scrabble questions or scramble questions, you would see one of the words with a capital, so you know where to start. But in TOEFL, they don't give you that benefit, right? So you have to just pick the correct word. Okay, so here we have, I heard Anna got a promotion. Okay. And we move along. Yes, usually you have, I think, five questions. Yeah, five to six, maybe. I think I've seen six one time before, but usually five, and that's it. So that's one part. Um, and see, well, you see here we have even seven, eight. Sorry, we have more than that. We have in total, we have 10 questions in this part. Yeah, so you have 10 of them. That's right, you have 10 in this section. I was thinking about the reading questions, which we've just watched above. Yeah, so you have 10 questions where you have to fill in the blanks. Yeah, not too difficult. Not too difficult. Okay, and then we have write an email question. This is a big change in the TOEFL exam. You will read some information and use the information to write an email. Okay, so here you'll have 7 minutes to write the email. Okay, so a new poetry magazine has asked its readers for submissions, and you decided to submit two of your poems. However, you had a problem using the online submission form, and you are not certain that your submissions were received. Write an email to the editor of the magazine. In your email, do the following. Tell the editor what you like about the new magazine. Describe the problem you experienced. Ask about the status of your submissions. Write as much as you can and in complete sentences. Okay, so there we go, right? And there we go. And then you have write for an academic discussion. A professor has posted a question about a topic and students have responded with their thoughts and ideas. Make a contribution. This is the key word. You have to make a contribution to the discussion. You will have 10 minutes to write. Your professor is teaching a class on social studies. Write a post responding to the professor's question. In your response, you should do the following. Express and support your opinion. Make a contribution to the discussion in your own words. Okay, an effective response will contain at least 100 words. Okay, and then you have the example here. Okay, and then you basically have the professor's statement, and then you have two students, and you have to provide your own what? Your own ideas, right? Which one you have to provide with your thoughts and ideas. Okay, which ideas do you think are more coherent and which ones do you agree with more? Yes, so you can go over that. Um, but that's basically what you have to. Like I said, we're just going through to get a general sense of how the TOEFL exam looks like. And there we go. We're on the last part, the speaking part. Okay. In the speaking section, you will answer up to 11 questions to demonstrate how well you can speak English. Okay, there are two types of tasks. This, all has changed, but in my opinion, the biggest and most dramatic change has occurred in the TOEFL in the speaking section of the TOEFL exam. It's just completely different. Before you had to answer six questions. Then it went down to four, but yeah, and they were integrated questions. Well, we won't get into it, but it was completely different. So now you have listen and repeat and take an interview. Okay, so the listen and repeat questions. So basically, what you're going to have, so you are learning to welcome visitors to the zoo. So you'll be stated this. You won't be reading it. Listen to your manager and repeat what she says. Repeat only once, please. Sometimes students start repeating twice, or they go back. It's a mistake. Yes. So we have a variety of wildlife. Okay, so then you have around 10 seconds um, around, right? It's around 10 seconds to repeat it. Remember, it's finite. Not doesn't really matter how long the sentence is. You have like a standard, I believe it's 10 to 12 seconds to repeat. I can double check that, but I think that's correct. Uh-huh. Bears, wolves, and large cats are to the right. Okay, so you have usually how many? We have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. There we have seven or eight, right? Um, Statements where you have to just repeat, right? Okay. I have also the scoring criteria on this question up on my YouTube channel. You can also check it out. Okay. And then we take an interview. An interviewer will ask you questions, answer the questions, and be sure to say as much as you can in the time allowed. Okay. There we go. So you have to read this. You have agreed to take part in a research study about urban life. You will have a short online interview with a researcher. The researcher will ask you some questions. Thank you for speaking with me today. I'm conducting a study about people's experiences and perceptions of living in a city. I'd like to ask you some questions. 2-second pause. Now, do you currently live in a big city, right? Or a village? Okay, so you answer. Great, right? That's the when you have to answer. Then, great. Cities affect people in different ways. Some people find cities dynamic and exciting. Others find that cities are overwhelming and drain them of energy. What kind of reaction do you have to cities? Okay, you answer. Why do you think you reacted this way? Okay, so you have some time to answer here, and then the next question will be asked of you. Okay, and it continues like that. Okay, and that's basically it. That's the entire test, right? So tell me what you think. Do you like the changes to the TOEFL exam? Um, have you looked into the old exam? What do you think about it, right? What problem? What do you think is the hardest part? What do you think is the easiest part? Oh, so please remember to like and subscribe, and remember to look into downloading my freemium um, app that I've created. Remember, once again, it's free. Um, and you can start working on TOEFL. If you're doing IELTS, is there also. So yes. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much, and have a great day or evening wherever you are.